Yo, what's up guys, welcome back to another video. This is a reaction to Lost in the Pond, and the video is British Thunderstorms Ain't Got Nothing on America. And I used to do a lot of weather reactions. I've sort of brought them back a little bit here and there. I mean, I've done 2 in the past few days, but I enjoy doing weather reactions. It's just that I mentioned it before, I've had problems from certain channels reacting to them, so I just sort of veered away from it. But I'm always interested in doing these types of videos, so I mean, if you've got any things you want me to see, I know there's a lot of tornadoes. Like, is it tornado season in the US right now or something? Because I know there's been quite a few crazy things going on. I saw a few comments of people mentioning it, and I didn't look into it much, but I've just seen, yeah, there's a lot of tornadoes ravaging certain parts of the US. I don't know how bad they are, but I've just been hearing it. I don't know if it's tornado season yet or not. I'm pretty sure it isn't, but maybe in certain parts it's just happening a lot. But yeah, if you want me to do reactions to certain things like that, let me know in the comments, because again, I'm always up for that. But this is on thunderstorms, which who doesn't love a thunderstorm, right? I mean, it's just sleeping with a thunderstorm, or like you're about to go to bed and there's a thunderstorm. Obviously, if it's during the day and you got stuff to do, it's not as fun. But I'm looking at it from the perspective of someone who is about to go to bed, and then you just see this crazy thunderstorm happening, and I love it, to be honest. But I have a sneaky suspicion that they're a bit more crazy in the US, because flash floods, there's probably a lot of more dangerous situations that you can get from thunderstorms in the US. Because I mean, flash floods do happen here, but I don't remember ever having a flash flood. I think there's been like times where when I lived at home when I was a kid and there was flooding. I think our house was a tiny bit flooded, but not like properly flooded, but it was getting close. The water was quite deep outside. When I say quite deep, I mean like that deep and stuff. Maybe like that. Something like that. Not insanely deep, but like relatively. And that's the limits of what I've ever had. But I've seen floods in the US before, and it gets wild. And don't get me wrong, some parts of the UK have been hit hard. There's a place up north a few years ago that got flooded, loads and loads of houses were destroyed. Not destroyed, but like flooded and all that stuff. But I've never experienced it, and again, I think it's a lot more common in the US in certain parts. But we're going to check this out. Hopefully going to enjoy. Links are in the description to my Patreon if you want to see some more of my reactions that I can't post. TV series, movie reactions, music reactions, all that good stuff. If you want to see that, links are in the description. But let's check this out and see how they compare.
Hello, I'm Lawrence, and I'm on a quest to uncover all of the memos that Britain and America lost in the pond, and one of those memos pertains to storms. So I was about to leave the house and take my puppy for a walk when I looked at the weather reports. Apparently, at the time of filming, Mother Earth is angry with Chicago and the rest of the Midwest because she's sending us some very unpredictable weather over the course of the next few hours. But I'm an optimist. I'm somebody who likes to turn a negative into a positive. So since we've got this stormy weather coming our way anyway, why not make a video called British Storms Ain't Got Nothing on America? But before I do that, I've got a few minutes before the storm is projected to hit us, so I'm going to take the puppy for a quick walk, and I'll be back in just a moment. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel, do that now. Well, Arthur, I think the weather reports must be wrong. It's really dry out here. Where are you going?
Oh, Arthur, you know I haven't run since the camel incident of 1998. Keep going then, Arthur. Keep going. Thunder's coming. The rain's coming. We've got to get home.
Good doggy. During my time living here, one thing that's really stood out to me about Midwestern storms is that in the hours and even minutes leading up to them, there's often no hint of a storm at all. Things can be entirely placid, but then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Mother Nature lets out one huge wind gust. And as that wind blows the leaves around like ants in a tumble dryer, there's something else that accompanies it. Really ominous clouds that look like they're going to devour the motorway. And I'm often told that when clouds have those little pointy bits hanging off them, you've got to be a little bit careful.
Oh yeah, when you're here, you've got to be worried, haven't you? Even Chicago, I feel like the chances of a tornado, I mean, it's not going to be as high as other parts, but it's still connected and they can reach Chicago, right? I mean, I feel like Chicago will get tornadoes a much higher percentage more than the UK does. I don't know the actual levels of how often the UK gets them, but Again, I mentioned this before. I've never seen one, and I asked my mum because I just got into a conversation with her about it, and she said she's never seen a tornado either. She's seen a water spout, or like the ones on the ocean once, but that's it. So they really aren't common. But yeah, I just feel like it's a lot more common, even in somewhere like Chicago, where it's not going to be as common as opposed to somewhere in the south or Tornado Alley, but they will still be a lot more common. And you're seeing this here. God damn.
Because that could be the precursor to a tornado. So far, we've got nothing like that on the horizon today, even though much of the Midwest has experienced that recently. And now that I think about it, it could happen. But thunderstorms, that's what we're here for.
Midwest.
Let's see how it's getting on.
I would love to watch this, man. I love thunderstorms. When you're inside, it's so like...
Amazingly, amid all of this rumbling that's going on, my animals have been handling it quite well. I was never really concerned about my cat, who's experienced this many times during the 13 years he's been on this planet. Thankfully, unlike some cats, he's not under the misapprehension that he's hearing a giant vacuum cleaner, and just looks at the storm with the scorn that it deserves. And Arthur, a little puppy, experiencing his first ever thunderstorm, at least on my watch. And mostly, in terms of the thunderstorm, he's fine. He spent most of it chewing on his toy because he's going through some dental pains like all puppies do at this age, poor little bugger. By far and away, the southern United States sees more thunderstorms than anywhere else in the nation, with Fort Myers, Florida recording an average of 89 thunderstorms per year. Mental. But I've just learned that one of the most devastating thunderstorm complexes occurred here in the Midwest. Back in 2012, when I was still living in central Indiana, a fast-moving derecho emerged in Iowa before sweeping its way through Illinois and then clear to the Atlantic coast. On its path of destruction, it claimed the lives of 22 people and brought damages of $2.9 billion. And having experienced the derecho of 2020, I'm familiar with how such storms often coincide with the hot temperatures of summer. But they're not uncommon here in early spring, as the thermometer flirts with the 60s, the temperature not the decade. Anyway, I think you're going to want to see this, because in the last few minutes there's been a development. Yeah, it is still coming down. Yeah, that is the craziest looking hail I have ever seen in my life. We don't get anything like this in the UK.
How's the car looking?
It's mostly good. That is a piece of hail that I just picked up.
What the fuck? This is just a random off-the-cuff recording as well. God damn. I mean, you do get hail here, but I don't know if I've ever seen a hailstone this big in my life. What the fuck?
On the ground outside, it is definitely the biggest piece of hail I've ever had in my hand, and I have to drop it now because it's melting. America is no stranger to large pieces of hail that hail from America. In fact, by comparison, some pieces make the segment that I held in my hand look like a fairy fly, albeit a frozen one. You see, I read today that in 2010, a piece of hail measuring almost 8 inches in diameter came down in Vivian, South Dakota. It remains the largest hailstone ever recorded in the history of Earth's history.
Imagine that hit someone's head.
The second largest was found in Nebraska some 7 years earlier, proving once again that everything is bigger in the United States except Q's, but that's irrelevant. But in my neck of the woods, the hail lasted all of 60 seconds. And just like that, as was the case before the storm started, everything is now placid. The storm has stopped. Which is good news for Arthur, because we can now take him on that longer walk, and I've just realised he's going to run through all of the sloshy mud. Alright, Tara, are you ready? It turns out neither of us were ready for what happened next. Ominous. Do you think that's the end of the world?
Wait, are they sirens going on?
Just the coming of a tornado. Probably neither. Probably just testing it. Probably go and find out.
This was no test. Just when we thought it was safe to go back into the water, an even bigger shark was emerging from the deep. The Chicagoland area was under a tornado warning. And to be clear, the shark bit was a metaphor, I hope. Yeah, I know you like looking at the wind, Kafka, but we've got to go. So, currently in the Pittsburgh potty, I have toilet roll for no real reason. We decided, since it's only a few minutes, this tornado warning that's in effect, we wouldn't bring down the whole crate, we'd just bring him down on a leash and let him roam a little bit. Kafka doesn't have that luxury. because if he did, he would tear Arthur to pieces, not literally, but they do tend to fight. So yeah, we are just seeing it out. It's supposed to only last about 12 minutes or something like that. And that's pretty normal. I mean, these tornado warnings don't last long. The weather systems move pretty fast. Kafka's trying to escape as we speak. You want any words for your audience? I know, I hate putting you in here, but, you know, got to take these precautions. And I'm tired. Among the world's countries, the United States in particular is synonymous with tornadoes. In fact, of the 67 tornadoes powerful enough in history to have been classed as an F5, 59 were recorded in the US, and that number is even higher if you account for Brock Lesnar. And in 1925, one of those F5s became the deadliest in US history when it ripped through Missouri, Illinois, and Indiana along the longest tornado path ever recorded. In total, this one tornado claimed the lives of almost 700 people, the vast majority of them right here in Illinois.
Oh, wow.
Well, after all that, according to the radar, it really is all over now. So, Arthur, you've earned a trip to the dog park. And I'll be honest with you, it's completely and utterly a little bit not surprising that Arthur wasn't scared of the thunder, because he's not even afraid of the big dogs. And I have to admit, he played with them in a manner that was admirable and disgusting. There was a lot of cleanup after that. It for this episode. Let me know in the comments below if
Oh damn, I wasn't expecting this whole thing with all this weather stuff going on in this situation. And that probably answers my question as well about where they happen more. I mean, already there's tornado sirens in Chicago, so yeah, it must mean Chicago does get hit like quite often with tornadoes. How, like, is there like a way you can judge how to hit the UK? I cannot type, man. Flipping hell. Around 30 tornadoes a year are reported in the UK. They are typically small but short-lived, but can cause structural damage if they pass over built-up areas. Is England the tornado capital of the world? What? That is ridiculous. I've never seen one, but it's the tornado capital of the world. What the hell? Worst tornado in UK history. Oh, 1810, that's a long time ago. In Birmingham, a tornado struck the city in 1931, killing one woman and civilian. And that's the worst one. 2005 Birmingham tornado. We're in England, Birmingham, right? Let me just see. I want to just see if there's any footage of this, because I've never seen a tornado in England. Is there any footage of it?
Now,
the cameraman taking these pictures was out filming a community project at the park. Next. And alive.
Nah. But yeah, like as I'm saying, like they just don't happen in the UK.
Hello,
That's one thing I'm blessed about. Like, you just don't have these worries about weather, to be honest. I don't want to speak too soon, but I think it's just not really possible to have insane. Obviously, there's going to be a case every so often, maybe every 100 years, where there's a brutal storm that hits the country. And their storms do hit the country, like, that are pretty bad every so often. But tornadoes, all this sort of stuff, it's just not really a thing. And I feel happy about that, because I cannot imagine having to deal with the after effects of what it would cause. But yeah, British thunderstorms ain't got nothing on America. That is very true. But yeah, if you enjoy this, if you want to see more reactions to this, let me know. And also let me know what's going on in the US, because again, I had some messages and some comments about there's been a lot of tornadoes, and it was mentioned here as well. There's been a lot of tornadoes hitting certain parts of the US. I don't know how bad they've been, but I mean, yeah, let me know in the comments what's going on. And that's pretty much it. Until next time. Peace.